Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to turn this Workgroup computer into a domain controller. I know there has been a lot of videos out there on this, but this is a Windows 2019 server, and I thought I'd make a video to show you guys how to do this. Not so technical way, just an easy way of doing it if you want to test at home. So as you can see right now, this is a Workgroup computer. Okay. This is the computer name is DC1. I already gave it a static IP address. So I double click on this. And double click on this and go into properties and double click on here. You can see it's already set up for a static IP. So that part has been taken care of. So the next thing we want to do is we can go back here to the dashboard. You can either, this will be a role or a feature. So as you can see here, we had number 2, it says add roles and features. You can do it from here, the wizard, or you can also go up to where it says manage, add roles and features. What we're going to do is we're going to click on add roles and features for the manage. And this brings up a nice wizard. The add roles and features wizard. What we're going to do is we're going to walk on through this wizard and convert this into a domain controller. First thing we're going to do is click on next. It's a role-based or featured installation. Configure a single server by adding roles, role services, and features. We want to click this radio button right there. Click next. We only have one server. We have one computer. This is point and right the server selection. So select a server from the server pool, which we have with 7.1. We're going to click next. Now here's where all the magic happens. The key thing you want to turn this thing into a domain controller is Active Directory Domain Services. You check this box, and what it's going to do is that it says here you cannot install Active Directory Domain Services unless the following role services or features are installed. So it's going to go through and it's going to add what it needs to turn this into a domain controller. So we're going to click next. And then we're going to click next. And then we'll click next again. And then you can read this if you want, but all we have to do is click next again. And now you can say restart to destination server automatically if required. You can check that box, or you can just click on install. And it gives you a readout of what is going to be installed. We click next. And it says it's starting the installation. Now this may take some time, depending how quick your computer is. So bear with it, depending how much memory you have, stuff like that. So basically we're promoting this thing into a domain controller, and then once that is done, we'll be able to add computers, user accounts on this domain controller. And then what you can do is sit down at other people's desks and log into this domain controller. So when you have a domain controller, this houses all of the user accounts, the computer accounts, group policy. It basically tells what a computer, what a user can and cannot do when they log in to the network. So when you sit down at work and you log into your computer at work, you are logging into a domain controller. That is basically the boss. And it says you can have access to this folder, to shares, applications, what you can and cannot do on the computer, what accesses you have as a user. So a lot of things come into play. That's why businesses use this. I mean, 95% of the business out there use Microsoft products. domain, Windows servers. When you're going to walk into a lot of corporate offices, either be insurance, hospitals, they're all using Windows. So it's good to get to know this. It's good to play around with it. If you have VirtualBox at home, you can definitely go to VirtualBox, download their free software, load that up on your computer, and just get an ISO file from Microsoft, which you just got to sign up for it. It doesn't cost anything. And then you can download the ISO and play around with it, and they give you like 180 days on the server, stuff like that. So you can really get into the meat of this and kind of like, it's a fully functional server. So it does help, but it can also sharpen up your skills as well. Then you can learn how to add user accounts, change passwords, unlock passwords, grant people access to applications, grant people access to shared folders, grant people access to their home folder. So basically when you log into a computer at work and you have let's say a G drive, the G drive is everybody's home folder. So you'll be able to store information in that folder for backups and stuff like that. Nobody else has access to that folder except for you. So as you can see here, we're done. We're going to click close. But we're not done yet. As you can see, it added the Active Directory, directory services here, and file and storage services here. You need to come up here and you need to click on this little exclamation point. Now what it says here, this is a post-deployment configuration. Configuration required for Active Directory domain services at DC1, which is the name of this computer. We're going to promote this server to a domain controller. So now it's going to walk through another wizard. Microsoft likes wizards, which makes our jobs easy sometimes. But since this is our first domain controller, we're going to say this is a new forest. And since domain controllers, they consider this a forest. If you take a look at some of the schematics that are out there, they're kind of shaped as trees. And I guess each domain controller would be a tree. So think of it this way. So we're creating the first forest. So we're playing our first tree. And then here we can actually name our domain. So I'm going to need dallas.org. And I'm going to click next. And then what it's going to do is it's going to go right down this order here. And you can type it in directory, services, password. You can pretty much put in there what you want. If it doesn't like the password, it will tell you it is not sophisticated enough, complex, stuff like that. Click next. You can just click next. It's going to create the NetBIOS domain name. It should be Dallas. As you can see, it comes up there. We click on next. This is the database folder, the log files folder, and the syst volume folder. You can just keep them all in the default locations and click on next. If you want to change them, you would click on here and you can change them to where you want to. We'll just click next. Gives you a review your selection, so everything that you did in that wizard kind of tells you everything that comes down, and we're just going to click on next. Now it's going to check for prerequisites, verifying prerequisites for the domain controller operation. Now prerequisites need to be validated before Active Directory domain services is installed on this computer. As you can see, it passed. Right there, you want to see the green, which is very good, and we'll click install. So now it is starting the process, and waiting for DNS installation to finish. You can see the target server is DC1, which that is the name of this server. Still checking. Group Policy Management Console needs to be installed now. And it's still going through the process. This part here may take some time. Again, depends how fast your computer is. But right now it's installing stuff. And at the end of this, it's going to ask for a reboot. And that's when it's going to change a lot of things in the background and things in the registry. Add a lot of stuff, more stuff than it did when it was a workgroup computer. But basically, this is a process which, if you were starting a new business and you wanted a Windows 2019 server or 2016 server and you wanted to implement Active Directory, a domain controller on your premise, this is how you would actually go through with it. This is how it all starts. Everything has to start from somewhere. And if you're new, I mean, this is a great way to learn, at least to see what the process is. Now you may not, I mean, I don't know everything that's going on here, but you get a general idea of what really happens. Now people walk in and they already are active. You know, the network is already set up for them. So, which is good. I mean, it makes our jobs a lot easier. We sit down and we have to know how to take care of the network. The sysadmins go in there and they create all of this stuff. So this is like you being a little sysadmin at home. You get to play around with it, and if you break it, doesn't really matter because it's a virtual machine. It's a test environment. This is how you learn. You got to break things to learn things in this business sometimes. But it's better to break them at home than it is at work. So you can see when it be signed out, you can see the server was successfully configured as a domain controller right there.